All right, guys, happy Monday. I will start by saying I think that we made history last week because on Thursday, Trump begrudgingly ordered Pam Bondi to move a judge to unseal the grand jury testimonies related to the Epstein case. Now, I want to be clear, absolutely nothing is going to come of that, and I'll explain why. But the point here is that MAGA revolted against Trump, and we won. But the question lingers, why? Why has it come to this, right? Like, what are we doing here? What is Trump hiding? Why is he going down like this over Jeffrey Epstein? I'll tell you why I think it is in just a moment. Plus, later on in the show, the Coldplay concert-going CEO that was caught in an affair has now been fired, and it's a very intriguing story. I cannot lie, and I'd like to share my thoughts on it. So let's jump right back in. Welcome back to Candace. I can tell you what they were banking on. Who is they? Who is they? Well, clearly, Trump is surrounded by neocons. He's surrounded by never Trump people. And what they are banking on is what is termed the madness of crowds. Have you heard of that expression, or psychology, if you will? The madness of crowds essentially is exactly what it sounds like. People, when they are in crowds, do insane things. There have been so many studies conducted that reveal the psychology of crowds is just crazy. Groupthink is essentially dumbthink. And by the way, everybody has fallen victim to it at some point in their lives. If you think back, you were in a crowd, you did something weird, okay? I can actually very clearly remember an example of when I did that. I was in Barcelona at a Lost in a Moment concert. It's like a festival of sorts, I guess. And the DJ had finished playing his set. It must have been 2 a.m. in the morning. And for some reason, one person, when the DJ finished playing his set, just like bowed. And then everybody, all of us just started bowing. It's so weird. I look back on that and just go, what an absolute heathen. Why were we all bowing? I don't know. Just the madness of crowds. It makes no sense. Another obvious example of that, which is a little bit darker, is COVID. It was weird. Everybody got weird. The supermarkets, the stickers on the floor, looking back at people and looking angry at them because they didn't go from sticker to sticker. Or maybe they forgot something and had to go backwards. Yeah, that, my friends, is the madness of crowds. Everybody is doing it, so I better just do it. Anyways, the point I'm making here is that Donald Trump and the Zio cronies that are around him were banking on that reaction from MAGA. Just follow the king. Bow at the DJ set at the end for no reason at 2 a.m. in Barcelona. Okay, that's what they were banking on. They wanted that. They thought that Trump would say to us, jump, and everyone would go, okay, how high? So when Trump told us to simply forget about Jeffrey Epstein, started terming it a Democrat hoax, and when he said, oh, only stupid people think otherwise, oh, the weaklings think otherwise, they thought that we would just be entranced. And they were wrong. And now both Trump and the neocons around him, they are receiving the shock of their lives. They are learning that the MAGA movement was not game. The MAGA movement instead rose up like a tidal wave, and it was ready to crush Trump. That is the reality. It turns out that MAGA is not actually a cult. They were hoping it was a cult. It turns out that Trump maybe doesn't even understand the movement that he's led for the last decade, okay? Trump just learned that when it comes to children, hell hath no fury like a MAGA scorned. Okay, and not just MAGA, by the way. This was left and right. People went, okay, I don't even care what boundaries we're crossing here. Release the damn files. Okay, you're the king of nothing if you are not prepared to defend children. That's the point. You will endure a figurative regicide unless you release the files. We're going to protect the children first and foremost. So on Thursday, he partially caved to that pressure. First, he was fighting, hoax, all these things, and then there was movement. He tweeted this on Truth Social, and Pam Bondi responded to it. He wrote, based on the ridiculous amount of publicity given to Jeffrey Epstein, I have asked Attorney General Pam Bondi to produce any and all pertinent grand jury testimony subject to court approval. This scam, perpetuated by the Democrats, should end right now. And then you can see Pam Bondi responds and says, President Trump, we are ready to move the court tomorrow to unseal the grand jury transcripts. Okay. And then as a follow-up to this, Trump posted onto Truth Social on Saturday morning that they had done that. He shared, I have asked the Justice Department to release all grand jury testimony with respect to Jeffrey Epstein, subject only to court approval. With that being said, this is the important part, guys, so pay attention. He writes, with that being said, And even if the court gave its full and unwavering approval, nothing will be good enough for the troublemakers and radical left lunatics making the request. It will always be more, more, more. And then he ends it with MAGA. I kind of like that ending. MAGA. It's great. I'm telling you to look at the language there because what he's doing is he's kind of already tipping his hand, right? He's basically saying, you're not going to be happy with what we're about to give you, but he's trying to sort of prime the base to go, oh, but if any person is not happy, then it's like they're like the raving leftist lunatics. They're troublemakers. Why are you causing so much trouble? Well, I'm going above and beyond now. I don't even care about this. I'm going to release these transcripts, but I'm going to tell you that I'm going to predict that there's going to be people that aren't happy with this. I can explain to you what he's doing there, right? It's pretty obvious, okay? He knows we're not going to get anything. We know that Jeffrey Epstein was working for the CIA and the Mossad. You'd have to be a big dummy, big dummy not to recognize that by now, okay? We now also understand that everything involving Jeffrey Epstein was really a show. It was like watching a drama play being put on. It wasn't a question ever of whether they were going to tell us who he was involved with. It was really them trying to figure out how to satisfy public interest in the case, right? Their goal was to protect the sinister truth of what he had been up to and who he was up to it for and how he had done it, but also managing to satisfy public interest. This is what show trials are all about, by the way. We just got to satisfy the public interest so we can move on. Now, you will recall that the second time when he was flying back from Paris, landed into Teterboro, he was indicted in the Southern District, New York courts, right? Southern District, New York courts. And we know that it's quite interesting that now Pam Bondi is trying to sell to us that the Southern District of New York is going to be the answer to everything that's gone on, right? Like suddenly the SDNY is going to be open to showing to us what happened in these transcripts. So I'm going to show you these articles, by the way, just to make it so clear that they know that we're going to get nothing in this, because they went and they interviewed some lawyers and who came out and said right away, they said, you're not going to get anything here. This is the Associated Press. Request to unseal Epstein grand jury transcripts likely to disappoint, ex-prosecutors say. Okay. And they know this because, first and foremost, it's the Southern District of New York. That's where Diddy's show trial was being held, right? That's where Trump's show trial with E. Jean Carroll was also held. That's where Justin Baldoni's show trial is being held in the SDNY. There's every bit of evidence that this district is implausibly corrupt. The state knows fully well that whatever testimony was given to indict Jeffrey Epstein, it's going to be intentionally limited. It's going to be bare minimum. Trump is just pretending to unseal this because he wants it to be enough, okay? He wants us to all think that, okay, well, only troublemakers care. And what we actually want, we don't really care about what happened when he landed and a couple of weeks later killed himself. What we want is everything pertaining to the 2006 case. Remember? The one that Alan Dershowitz helped him settle. The case where he then was suddenly running the sheriff's office. The case where the feds agreed that as a part of the plea deal, no other person involved in Jeffrey Epstein's orbit was going to have charges brought against him. Like, oh, Jeffrey Epstein getting a slap on the wrist covers everybody. He's falling for everybody that could have been implicated in this case. Why would the feds have made that a part of the deal? Obviously, they were covering for powerful people that were caught up in Epstein's initial case, okay? So yeah, Trump's team filed that motion to unseal the grand jury transcripts. But like I said, looking at that AP News headline, it's because they already know they're not going to get anything. In that article, they cite two Manhattan federal prosecutors who both say that Trump knows that there's not going to be anything because grand jury testimonies in that district are known to be intentionally brief. They estimate that it'll be max between 60 and 100 pages of testimony. And they cite Sarah Krishoff, who was the assistant U.S. attorney for 13 years. She said, quote, "It's not going to be much because the Southern District of New York's practice is to put as little information as possible into the grand jury." So what are we to conclude about this, guys? Trump is playing games. He is. I'm sorry. He is flat out playing games right now. In fact, he's doing that thing that we always felt the press was doing to Trump supporters, thinking that we're stupid. Going, okay, they don't know much about how the law works. So if I just say I'm going to unseal something, then it looks like I'm acting, and then I'm going to call everybody who doesn't agree with that a troublemaker. He knows exactly what he's doing. So I went back as I'm going, is this new? Is Trump suddenly being brand new about the Epstein topic? And the reality is, when we looked back at clips, he's actually always been a bit wishy-washy on the Epstein points, okay? People are circulating all of these old clips, and I want you guys to check out this one from back when he was running last year. He sat down with Lex Friedman. It was September. And this is what he said when Lex Friedman pressed him on his hesitancy to commit to releasing the files. Take a listen.
There's a moment where you had some hesitation about Epstein, releasing some of the documents on Epstein. Why the hesitation?
I don't think I mean, I'm not involved. I never went to his island, fortunately. But a lot of people did.
Why do you think so many smart, powerful people allowed him to get so close?
He was a good salesman. He was, was a hale and hearty type of guy. He had some nice assets that he'd throw around, like islands. But a lot of big people went to that island. But fortunately, I was not one of them.
It's just very strange for a lot of people that the list of clients that went to the island has not been made public.
Yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it? Probably will be, by the way. Probably.
So if you're able to, you'll be...
Yeah, I'd certainly take a look at it. Now, Kennedy's interesting because it's so many years ago. They do that for danger, too, because, endangers certain people, et cetera, et cetera. So Kennedy is very different from the Epstein thing. But, yeah, I'd be inclined to do the Epstein. I'd have no problem with it.
That's great to hear.
You see that I'm just not comfortable. It's not a straight answer. He says other people are going to get caught up in it, and but you then kind of pivots to talking about JFK files, which he's always been very clear. I will release the files, and he does it again. By the way, a few months before he sat down with Lex Friedman, he sat with Rachel Compass Duffy of Fox News, and here is what he said to her regarding the Epstein files.
Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah.
Would
I
you,
did. I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would, or at least
Do you think that would restore trust? Help restore trust?
Yeah, I don't know about Epstein so much as I do the others. Certainly about the way he died. It would be interesting to find out what happened there because that was a weird situation and the cameras didn't happen to be working, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I'd go a long way toward that one. The other stuff I would.
Kind of a weird answer, right? Like he's just not strong there. He's like, oh, well, that maybe there's a lot of fake stuff in there. And where? We're being told now that their Epstein files don't exist. So where's the fake stuff at? I've been racking my brain genuinely trying to consider what is the connection here? What is the connection between Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump? Because clearly there is something here that gives him pause. And there is a picture for me that is emerging. And look, I will say right now, I'm very open to being wrong. But I think what I'm about to present is somewhat of interest. Like there's a little bit of a pattern emerging. Okay, so what do we know so far about Jeffrey Epstein? Tomorrow we'll jump back into the Jeffrey Epstein's files, but already, what do we know? Well, we know that his money's very mysterious, and that once he got this money quite mysteriously, his interests were spread amongst businesses that allowed for him to traffic young women. Okay, we covered this already, but Jeffrey Epstein injected a ton of cash into MC2 Modeling. Okay, that was a modeling firm that was owned by Jean-Luc Brunel. French guy. And all of a sudden, after this cash injection from Jeffrey Epstein, MC2 Modeling hits the mainstream in a big way, right? They're signing client deals with Nordstrom, Macy's, Saks Fifth Avenue, Neiman Marcus, JCPenney, Kohl's Corporation, the Target Corporation, Sears, you name it, right? And Virginia Roberts Giuffre, right, the Epstein accuser that spoke out, would later allege in her 2014 testimony that MC2 was actually a front for sex trafficking. So he was injecting cash because he was allowed to move minors through that business. She alleged that she herself was trafficked as a minor to Jean-Luc Brunel. okay? He also, Jean-Luc Brunel, created other agencies. The One Mother Agency in Kiev, Ukraine. As we already know, the Jeffrey Epstein story, for some reason, modern-day Ukraine has a lot to do with it. Robert Maxwell. Now, the interesting part is that we know that Jean-Luc Brunel, just like Robert Maxwell, just like Jeffrey Epstein, had a very conveniently timed death, okay? In December of 2020, he was charged with the rape of minors, but he committed suicide before he could actually stand trial. And you're not going to believe it, guys. This was after Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. This guy does the exact same thing. You would think, since he was connected to Jeffrey Epstein, that they would maybe not leave extra bed sheets around that he could hang himself with. But they did it again, and Jean-Luc Brunel hung himself with a bunch of bed sheets. Okay, so we'll park that aside. Similarly, we also know that Jeffrey Epstein was casting women inappropriately, pretending to be a cast director for Victoria's Secret models. Now, that's also interesting that Les Wexner gave him the keys to all of his businesses. And like we explained in an earlier episode, the executives of these companies were complaining to no avail that Jeffrey Epstein was just ingratiating himself as some sort of casting director so that he could have access to young women. Oh, okay. So once again, we see Victoria's Secret model show. He's interested in young women. And it could be that he was trafficking women in that direction as well. That would make sense, right? It was the same thing, by the way, with Harvey Weinstein. We haven't gotten too far into that story yet, but he had a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Harvey Weinstein did. And according to Xavier Poussard's earlier reporting, Epstein and Harvey got into some massive fight in Paris one night. And the exact nature of the argument is not known, but it is understood that Epstein wanted to have access to cast women in Harvey Weinstein's films, okay? Young women in the film. So again, presenting himself as some sort of a casting director. Now, regarding Trump, if you connect the dots there, Trump rather famously ran beauty pageants, okay? Pageants, by the way, freak me out in general, the origins of it. I wish I knew less. They were, started by the Carneys. P.T. Barnum created it in the Victorian era. It's really creepy. All the pictures, if you look at especially child pageants, really, really weird. Anyways, what we do know is that Trump became very involved in the world of pageantry via the Miss Universe competition, okay? The timeline here is quite interesting, by the way, because Trump, as we know, he's been on Jeffrey Epstein's plane 7 times. I've never made a big deal about that because if you look at the routes, it's from Palm Beach to Teterboro. And just to be clear, in those circles, billionaires share planes all the time. They jump on someone's plane to go home, back and forth, especially if you both live within the same route. He wasn't flying to the island. So I thought that was a bit of a nothing burger, okay? But what's interesting is the last time that Trump was on Jeffrey Epstein's plane, that was 1995. And I believe that was the route from Palm Beach to Teterboro. 1995, that happens, okay? Last time. It is a fact that Trump purchases Miss Universe alongside NBC in 1996, so just 1 year later. And it is a fact that Jeffrey Epstein was particularly interested in Trump expanding his pageantry empire. Now, we know this only because Trump got sued back in, I think it was 1997, at least when she dropped the lawsuit, or they settled the lawsuit. It was a woman named Jill Harth. Some of her story sounds a bit fantastical to me, or rather like one of these Me Too victims. But the point is that she was operating a small Florida company that was called American Dream Enterprise. And they ran a quote-unquote calendar girl beauty contest. And Trump was interested in perhaps acquiring that. And that woman Jill, was also working alongside her partner, George Horaney. He's a Florida-based businessman. They're involved, and they're trying to pitch this to Trump, or Trump's interested, whatever it is. And they allege that Trump arranged a party at Mar-a-Lago for those young women that were involved in the calendar girl competition. And George Horaney claims that Epstein was the only other guest that he was told to invite to that event. Now, to be clear, it could very much be the case, in the way that Trump's describing, like people who got caught up in this, whatever it is, that people who were not aware of exactly what Jeffrey Epstein's purpose was, maybe he approaches them, he approaches Trump, he approaches people that have a business that he could hide a trafficking sort of organization in. Trump would be that kind of a person, right? You've got young women, you've got pageantry, okay? And he says, I'll give you cash, or I'll introduce you to somebody that will give you cash, inject cash, because he wants access to younger women. That's a thread here that I think would make sense because Trump is just not clear. And sometimes even when he's presenting arguments against it, where he's saying like, oh, well, I kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago, he's making it seem like he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago because he was inappropriate. In reality, it was like a real estate deal gone wrong. You know, there's some background. Him and Epstein started hating each other because there was a property in Palm Beach that Les Wexner used to own, okay, a massive property. And then he sold it. And then the guy that purchased that property from Les Wexner, eventually he falls into bankruptcy. And Trump buys that property out of bankruptcy. For whatever reason, something happened between Epstein and Trump where they were no longer friends after that deal. Maybe Epstein wanted to purchase that property back and Trump beat him to it. It sounds like a businessman falling out. But the pause that Trump has here in releasing the files and in trying to basically cage it like there's a lot of fake stuff in there doesn't make sense to me. Okay, we're not falling for that. It's very strange. And it's weird to me that he has led this movement for so long and would give it all up, right, to try to gaslight his base on the Epstein matter. Anyways, in the meantime, I think we're all starting to recognize that we have been duped, right, in a very big way on this particular topic. But the silver lining in this is that we're all aware of it, right? Left and right coming together on this issue is a very good thing. So it doesn't matter how many times Trump tweets, well, the polls are up, or they try to pivot so that the left and the right start warring again. They're dangling a bunch of other carrots in front of us right now. Like Trump just tweeted, I think this morning, about the Brian Kohberger case out of Idaho, which, yes, it's true, but that case has never made any sense. There seems to be something that's being hidden, some aspect, some explanation that seems to be hidden. Everything was done quietly. And now he's tweeting about that. Oh, we got to look into this case. You got Pam Bondi, similarly, she say, oh, well, guess what? We just figured out, or maybe it was Kash Patel who tweeted this, that Obama was a part of the fake dossier. Yeah, all of that matters. But it seems like it's trying to distract us away from the Epstein story, because that's the big fish here. That is the thing that undoes it all. And when I show you tomorrow, as we get into Ghislaine's family, as we get into Ghislaine's mother, Betty, and what they were concerned with, what she was concerned with in her philanthropic efforts, you're going to be like me. You're going to wake up and go, is anything real? Right? And the answer is no. Everything is fake and gay. I told you that many times. Anyways, I just wanted to also show you this clip of Joe Rogan discussing sort of this Epstein fallout. He was sitting down with James Tallarico on his podcast the other day, and here's what he had to say.
The people that were very hopeful for change when Trump got into office, one of the things that everyone was promised was you're going to find out the Epstein client list, and you're going to find out who killed JFK and what the UFOs are all about. You haven't heard a beep about any of that.
Yeah.
No one knows nothing. And today they just finally said there's no client list, there's no videos. I mean, I had Kash Patel. These people, Kash came on the podcast and said there's nothing that you want to see. This guy,
nothing you need to see.
Dan Bongino, who's always like shouting from the rooftops, we're going to get to the bottom of this and find out who these people are. Everyone's saying, no, Epstein killed himself. No, nothing to see here. And it's like, okay, well, that's why people are cynical. People are cynical because you had all this hope for change. And then you realize, like, oh, the same people that are pulling the strings are still pulling the strings.
Well, and it doesn't help when there are videos of the president, hanging around with
and everybody
with
else, including Nobel Prize winning scientists.
Yes, yeah. It's not just limited.
Yeah, I mean, it's that whatever that compromise organization was, whatever that thing was that they were running, whatever this game was, that I'm sure they're running another version of it right now, where they provide experiences to people that have a very difficult time, getting out there and having their fun, and then they compromise them. I mean, I think this is it's a time-honored tactic of control. It's been around forever, and obviously it works. Look, if you have so much interest in getting to the bottom of this, like universally, on both sides of the aisle, and yet nothing gets done, that tends to give people this fear that cynicism is the correct perspective.
He's not wrong there. I do think that knowledge is power, though. I think it's a good thing. I try to remain optimistic about the fact that people are waking up and realizing that there has been sort of this like careful tapestry of deception that has been sown before our eyes. And it's very clear where it's coming from. When you get to the nucleus of it, yeah, all roads do lead to modern Israel, the modern state of Israel that was established in 1948. And you just can't ignore those facts. You just cannot, no matter how much you try to gaslight us or call us anti-Semitic, or try to send out a band of people to convince us to keep looking the other way as Israel partakes in evil. We're going to talk about that because the Babylon Bee has gone mask down on that topic. First, going to throw it to our sponsors over at Goldco, because over the past 4 years, we've all seen some tough times. We've had skyrocketing inflation, surging national debt, market volatility, never-ending wars, bank failures, and our financial systems cannot be trusted. That's why Americans are turning to gold. Gold is real, it's tangible, and it's held value for thousands of years. Unlike the stock market or currency, gold doesn't vanish when politicians make bad decisions, which, let's be honest, is happening a lot these days. Goldco are the experts that I trust to help you protect your retirement with precious metals. So whether you're worried about inflation, government spending, or just want peace of mind, Goldco will make it easy. Here's what you got to do. Visit CandaceLikesGold.com and get your free 2025 gold and silver kit and learn how you can get up to 10% in free silver. Don't wait for the next crisis. Protect your future today. Head to CandaceLikesGold.com. Again, CandaceLikesGold.com. Also reminding you guys about Just Thrive, because the biggest health secret that is not being talked about is that everything starts in your gut. You know that. Every day your gut is fighting a silent war against processed foods, work stress, toxins in the air that you breathe. When your gut is in trouble, your whole body feels it. Most probiotics do not work. 99% of the traditional brands die in your stomach acid before they even reach your gut. That's what makes Just Thrive's spore-based probiotic completely different. Just Thrive is the only probiotic that is clinically proven to arrive 100% alive in your gut. It does something that no other probiotic can. It turns your gut into an antioxidant factory, creating protective compounds exactly where you need them most. That means better digestion, healthy immunity, more energy, and easy weight management. You can take Just Thrive probiotic in the form of a capsule or a berry-flavored gummy. From their award-winning probiotic to their full line of gut, immune, and brain health supplements, Just Thrive has been fighting to make Americans healthy again with science-backed solutions that you can trust. To join the gut revolution and take control of your health today, visit justthrivehealth.com, and you'll save 20% if you use promo code Candace at checkout. See the difference yourself, or you'll get a full product refund, no questions asked. Take control today with Just Thrive. Again, that's justthrivehealth.com with promo code Candace. All right, so the Babylon Bee, I mean, I've been covering that for a while. I think everyone now is kind of awake. You know, they kind of arrived as like, we're just the satire guys. We tell jokes. And then you realize that, no, this is actually an infiltration. It's a Christian infiltration. We're really awake to that now suddenly. You know, we've showed you all the pastors reading the exact same script on stage. What happened to Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson? And they went masked on a long time ago because they're actually not good actors and they're just way too emotional. You could see it, the spiral. Seth Dillon, who's a CEO of Babylon Bee, Joel Berry, online just saying the most horrific and deranged things. Again, all masking it as like, we're really good Christian guys. And their entire story, the background story of the Babylon Bee is complete BS. You know, it's just completely, I sent an email. The next thing I knew, I was given this company from Adam Ford. And it's very clear that their goal is to convince Christians to look the other way as Israel commits crimes, even when Israel is attacking Christians, okay? Which is what happened, obviously. Couldn't have missed this, but Israel struck a church in Gaza, the only Catholic church in Gaza, and they murdered 3 people and they injured a priest, okay? That is not okay. Pope has spoken out about this. It's very clear that what is happening in Gaza is not okay. So this shouldn't have been, by the way, if you're Christian, your entry point should not have been, oh, this has gone, now it's gone too far because they hit a Catholic church. You should have been speaking about this a long time ago. We're like 3 years into them just murdering children. And that's not okay, whether those children are Christian or not, their innocent life. But this now seems to have woken some people to like, okay, this is absurd. What do you mean you hit it by accident? And the priest of the church made it clear, we don't think this is an accident at all. They always say, everything's an accident. We thought there was a tunnel. We haven't shown any proof of a tunnel network. But we turned down people that were telling us if we wanted to disable a a tunnel network, we could do it very easily. So the Israeli government declined advice on how to do that because it was never about a tunnel network, guys. Okay, you're witnessing a genocide. Okay. Anyways, not Seth Dillon from Babylon Bee, Joel Berry from the Babylon Bee, after people are freaking out about this, tweets this. I love this. It's just so masked down. He writes, "This won't be easy for people to hear, but there are only about 200 professed Catholics still living in Gaza, and they all support Hamas." It's amazing. The human shield argument. It's like, okay, we're going to murder everybody, and we're just going to keep telling you that they all support Hamas, even the priests, the children, everybody supports Hamas. I mean, genuinely, I don't know. If Adolf Hitler wanted to conduct a genocide, he should have just said everyone supports Hamas every day. And then everyone would be like, yeah, it's fine, it's cool. Yeah, no, I mean, like, hey, doesn't matter how many people you kill now. Everybody supports Hamas. Can't question the narrative. You'd be like, anti-German to question. I mean, it is a joke now. Like, it's becoming stupid. Can we move? Just say it. I actually would have more respect if Joel Berry, Seth Dillon, Babylon guys, and the random circuit of people that were all propped up because October 7th was so evidently planned, propped up to pretend that they were influencers, organic influencers. It was definitely Midas touched type people, if you've been following the series. And then they all just go mask down after October 7th. And you can see like, okay, yeah, no, we've been infiltrated. Yeah, Christians, wake up to this. There's a full infiltration. These aren't Christian guys that are trying to lay the groundwork to murder Christians, okay? And it's just incredible. It is. And I'm, by the way, grateful that he tweeted that. I see God in that. That'll awaken more people. To just be so outwardly evil and disgusting all the time is a good thing. It makes people re-examine who they are following. People that are telling that they follow a faith, that they are Christians. Yeah, okay, likely story. And it's just fostering more conversations about the modern state of Israel and the people that support it and how much power they wield, not just in politics, guys, but over influencers, over pastors, over churches. I mean, they really have threaded this very carefully over a long time. And I am aghast. The more I learn, the more I research, I'm like, Hollywood, churches, it's everywhere. It is truly an infestation. Anyways, as the scales are falling from so many people's eyes, obviously Tucker Carlson has truly been a light in that direction. Daryl Cooper, the historian who got attacked for discussing other aspects of World War II, because World War II is very important to the Israel firsters. It's really their only justification for why they're allowed to murder people and just take over land. Well, the Holocaust happened, so as soon as somebody starts touching and introducing other facts about World War II that are true, they lose their effing minds, okay? As soon as somebody starts speaking about weird things that are happening in Israel today, they lose their effing minds because it just takes you to realize like one thing before you go, okay, it's like dominoes. I'm starting to notice some things. Truth, I want to be very clear, does not fear a lie, okay? They don't panic when people talk about World War II because they're just like really protecting the truth. There's got to be some lies that they've told, okay? I don't panic when somebody's about to come out with a lie about me. I don't care if someone's going to have to lie because I'm just going to be like, ha, 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 here's the truth. The truth does not fear a lie. Anyways, Daryl Cooper and Tucker Carlson, you should listen to their discussions in its entirety. They're unpacking Zionism in the same way that I'm unpacking Zionism via the Epstein series. And one of the things they brought up is what I've been bringing up for the last year, which is like, why are pedophiles allowed to flee and hide in Israel? It's kind of a weird thing. Listen to Daryl Cooper and Tucker Carlson discuss just that.
Before Jeffrey Epstein was sentenced, for whatever reason, you have this billionaire who's just the definition of a flight risk. And before he's sentenced, he flees. He flees the country, goes to Israel, stays there for several months, moved all his money offshore by this point. And while he's in Israel, he's telling people there that he's thinking about staying, because you can actually do that. They don't extradite Jewish criminals, at least, who flee to Israel. There's an organization called Jewish Community Watch, which is a Jewish organization that tracks pedophiles who have fled the United States to go to Israel, where there's no extradition of Jewish criminals there. And between just the years, I think it was 2010 when they opened up, and 2016, 2017 when this story was written, so a period of 6 years, there were already 60 pedophiles from the United States that had fled to Israel and were living freely there. Some of them had reoffended there and got thrown in Israeli jails, but so this is a thing, and Jeffrey Epstein was over there.
Why doesn't the U.S. government demand the government of Israel send them back?
You've been self-employed for a while, but when you weren't, was it your habit to go to your boss and make demands of them on a regular basis? Since when do we ever make demands on Israel? It's been a long time.
I don't know. That's obviously distressing.
Yep, sure is. Sure is. There's a lot of that going on in Israel. I shared over the weekend, of course, the Zionists panicked about this. Why would you panic? Trials that are going on right now in Israel regarding ritualistic sex abuse that is being imparted by the rabbis. Toddlers being led to the forest to be abused. I'm not even going to read this article, but I'm telling you every person should in their own capacity. Not just the Jerusalem Post covering this. Survivors testify that people in the government participated in sadistic sexual rituals that involved minors. And again, these not just minors, we're talking about toddlers. You must follow the story. You should read it in your own capacity because it is so disturbing and sick. I don't even want to speak about what happens in those forests and that they've been covering this for decades. And now that I am so much more educated on this topic, having examined the history of Freud, the psychoanalytic movement, what was happening in Vienna, for those of you that are in our book club, Alt Wien, Other Vienna, learning that Hollywood, when it was established, just a fact, they were bringing over German pedophiles to direct films. And some of these, they were just committing the same acts in Hollywood. Now we talk about that connection of what goes on in Hollywood, why so many kids come out scarred. All of this is very much connected. And more people are learning the truth about that. That is the reality, okay? I would never make an argument that the people that established Israel were good people, okay? Not even Theodore Herzl. A lot of things you're not being told about him in his history. But again, I save all of that to unpack on our book club as we go one book, because you have to kind of learn all of it very slowly so that you are conditioned to fight this evil battle that we are fighting. And I think we are winning that and people are waking up. So that is at least some good news. Okay, before I get into your guys' comments, I do want to comment on myself on Coldplay Gate, because that's been wild, okay? Of course, you guys know I won't spend too much time here recapping what happened, because there was a moment where Coldplay, during the concert, just did the camera thing. Everyone does the Jumbotron thing. You look at each other. Maybe you're at a baseball game. Same thing happens. Coldplay does that at their concerts. And what's quite hilarious, that they gave everyone a heads up they were going to do it. But I guess that's like playing the lotto. Like, what are the chances that you're going to be the person that they put the camera on? Well, bad luck for the CEO, because he just gets caught. Let's just show that moment really quickly here.
Yeah. Oh, look at these two. All right, come on. You're okay? Oh, what? Either they're having an affair or they're just very shy.
Something that I want to just say, everything is hitting, karma is hitting differently this year, but for me, it's always been the case. One of the things people that are friends with me know, or my family knows, is that I constantly just tell the truth, and sometimes it makes people very uncomfortable that I just constantly tell the truth all the time, because I have, since I was a little girl, if I do anything wrong, karma hits me back, not like years down the line. I'm talking like 10 minutes. I have 10-minute karma. Like, if nobody's around and I run a red light, I am telling you within 10 minutes, I'll just get hit by a car. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about me. There's a weird web around me that happens, but I just don't like doing anything wrong. I always just tell the truth because I know that my karma hits. That is, you can't even imagine the karma of those two, the affair that they are having. And then we learn, of course, that both of them are married. Both of them are married with children. And he just sneaks off and thinks he's not going to get caught. And then bam, Coldplay puts him on the Jumbotron. Terrifying. Like, it is so mortifying and so exactly what he deserved that you just go, wow. I mean, truly, you guys, this is not the year to be effing around. People are really finding out quickly when they are effing around. And what's really something that I do want to comment on that I think is really wrong, the memes are hilarious, we're going to get to them, is that I think it's going a little too far for the publications that are hunting down the children. I saw like the Daily Mail, the New York Post were posting photos of the children. Like, this is a really bad time for their kids. Like, yes, we can laugh at him. We can laugh at this woman that's also involved. but we should not at all be trying to publish and find out information about their kids and like their respective wives and husbands who had absolutely nothing to do with this and are probably going through a lot of humiliation because of the actions of their parents. So let's not do that, please. Just asking the internet to like respect that they need some privacy. But I have to show you this because now it's a trend and people that are getting caught on Jumbotrons at games are mimicking what happened here. So this is, I think, from the baseball team, the Phillies, the mascots mocked the moment. Take a listen, or take a watch rather. This is great. That is some way to go out, man. And there have been obviously so many memes about it. Here's one. They don't stop. Here's another one. People are just my first affair. Here's a Lego Lego edition. And here's my favorite one. This is my favorite one. Oh, look, it's BB and Trump caught on the Jumbotron having an affair on America. Oh, poor America. Oh, family's going to have to break up. I think it is, by the way. I think 2028 is now wide open, right? I do not think that usually you get the blessing of the president before you. I don't think that's going to matter anymore. I think that is how much Trump has let down his base. I'll leave it at that. All right, now we get into some of your comments. 7 Weeks Coffee. I told you guys about them. You're going to drink coffee. You might as well do a good thing. They're America's pro-life coffee company. They're on a mission to fund the pro-life movement, one cup of coffee at a time. And they just hit an amazing milestone, over 1 million donated to the pro-life movement. Now, they're called 7 weeks because at 7 weeks, a baby's the size of a coffee bean, and it's also the same time a heartbeat is clearly detected on an ultrasound. That's why they donate 10% of every sale to support pregnancy care centers across all 50 states, providing life-saving ultrasounds, resources for moms in need, and real hope for families. And it all started with just one simple idea, which is using your morning coffee to stand for life. 7 Weeks Coffee is more than a great tasting coffee. It is mold-free, pesticide-free, shade-grown, low-acid, organically farmed. It checks all the boxes. So go ahead and head to 7weekscoffee.com and you'll save 15% forever when you subscribe, and you'll get a free gift. Plus, exclusively for my listeners, if you use code Candace at checkout, you get an extra 10% off your first order. So that's a total of 25% total savings on your first order, plus a free gift. Remember that your order will directly help support a network of over 1,000 pro-life organizations across the U.S. So visit 7weekscoffee.com and use promo code Candace today. Also, I'm reminding you about American financing because the costs are rising everywhere: gas, groceries, home repairs. If you're a homeowner, you may have thought, should I call American financing to refinance and pay off this credit card debt? And then maybe you second-guessed yourself because of the low mortgage rate that you're currently enjoying. But look, the low rate means nothing. You're not saving anything if you are drowning in credit card interest at 25% or more. That's the math that people don't want to face, but it's the reality. It's costing you thousands. And here's the truth. If you're only making that minimum payment, that debt is going to follow you for years. That's why people are calling American financing, because they're saving customers an average of $800 a month by using their equity to finally break free from credit card debt. You owe it to your family to see what's possible. There are no upfront fees. There's no pressure. It will cost you nothing to find out what you could be saving. And if you start today, you might be able to delay 2 mortgage payments. So don't wait any longer. Call American Financing today. The number is 800-795-1210. Again, the number is 800-795-1210, or go to americanfinancing.net/Owens, americanfinancing.net/Owens. All right, guys, what are we thinking? What do you think about Trump and, Miss Universe pageant? I think also the Miss Universe, while he was at the head of it, they did start a Ukraine chapter. He could have accidentally gotten caught up in something, and I am still impacted by Elon Musk never taking back what he said about Trump being in the files. Again, I don't think, and he wasn't, we know that he wasn't on the island, but, I am recognizing Epstein's pattern of following wherever the young women would be cast, and beauty pageants would definitely be a place where young women are being cast. Will Wallace writes, funny thing after Epstein files sham, I'm still MAGA, but without Trump. Weird. MAGA. That's actually not weird. He wrote, we all remember the video footage of Trump telling the young girl, wow, just think in a couple of years, I'll be dating you. Grown men don't talk to young ladies that way. It's not actually weird to recognize that MAGA will survive Trump. And that's why I said is clearly the Trump movement, for whatever reason, has mystified so many people. It's actually quite simple. It's values driven. So Trump was selected as the quote unquote king of MAGA because he was saying things that made sense about the forgotten man back in 2015, about the people in the flyover states who aren't so concerned with overseas wars, right? They just want to be able to earn a living. They want to be able to feed their children. They want to make sure their kids are going to good schools. And Trump was speaking and understanding that very simple thing that we were after. And he was going after the elite. He was going after the journalists. He was going after the neocons, insisting on never-ending wars, the McCain types. Now he's just switched. He's united with them, right? He's literally last night he was going, Mark Levin, yeah, watch the Mark Levin show. Mark Levin was quite literally one of the original Never Trumpers. Like, hello, wake up, stop watching Fox News, Trump. The base is not with Mark Levin, okay? Anybody telling you that? Trump, just look at these polls. Oh, everybody loves what you're doing. They're lying to you. That's what they're doing. They're putting him in a vacuum. Neocons are around him, and they're treating him like he's like an old grandpa in a home. Like, look, just watch, look at Fox News is telling you that your base loves this. And he doesn't understand that the base is not with Fox News. This is my honest perception. He has no idea which way the wind is blowing right now because the people around him have infiltrated the movement and now they're lying to him. Okay, that's what they're doing. Isha Sumi writes, I think Trump is protecting family. Check the phone log data from the data brokers and bank transactions. Yeah, I spoke already about, on Thursday, I spoke about Jared Kushner and his involvement in Israel. That's an obvious angle. This person writes, leave Trump alone, Candace. He's about to make everyone rich in the crypto sector. Yeah, everyone rich in the crypto sector. What does that even mean? Genuinely, like whose parents are involved in the crypto sector? You know, are you talking about younger people? Or are you people that are worried about their savings right now? And no, we're not going to leave alone because it's not about Trump. This is not about leaving Trump alone. You're asking us to leave pedophiles alone, right? Like that's what is going to be in those Epstein files, a network of pedophilia, a sinister network, because people that will harm children will do anything. That is why they want these people like Jeffrey Epstein in positions of power, because if you violate something that is so sacred as like the protection of children, if you're able to just go, I don't care about that, then you're probably willing to do anything else. That's the reality. You have no morals in you. Juliana Thomas writes, my brother just left the Washington Post because they wouldn't let him write about the Christian persecution. Why is no one covering the Christian persecution, Nigeria, Syria, Iraq? Any tips for him to do his own investigation? The first thing I would say is try to link up with Scott Horton. We covered what was going on in Syria at the time when everything was happening, when they were going after Assad. And it was very clear that what was going to happen was Israel was going to expand its territory. They were the ones that were supplying the arms to have Christians murdered. They quite literally funded the terrorist groups. And now they're just trying to wipe away history and go, look at all these Christians being murdered. Congo as well. You look into Dan Gertler, the diamond trade. I mean, Israel has its hands everywhere that Christians are being murdered. That's just a fact. And so I would team up with somebody who is an expert in those areas. And I would say Scott Horton is the right person to email. He's been on top of that for a very long time. He wrote a tome on it. Latonia writes, it's not just the U.S. and Miss Universe pageants. Trump owned pageants in several countries like a franchise because I was in one. Other countries work under the umbrella of the Trump worldwide brand. Yep, exactly. And that was something that came to my mind. And I'm like, okay, that's what Jeffrey Epstein was all about, right? How are you growing your brand? He did the exact same thing, obviously, like I said, with MC2 modeling. And yeah, that could be it. We could be wrong, but I think it's curious. Next up, Curious Cole writes, all evil actors, all of them, red or blue, they're just voices, not the real faces of our real controllers, pure evil actors, straight from the Mayflower, leaving evil traces all the way from New England to Cali by design. I do not disagree that there are a lot of evil actors on the world stage. They literally view the world as their stage. Min Drunner writes, it is clear that Trump is not protecting the blackmailed. He is protecting the blackmailers. I think Trump is protecting his family. I think I already read that one. Allison writes, progressive here. Thanks for your work. After WikiLeaks in 2016, I didn't vote for Hillary. I didn't vote for Trump either. I believe he's part of the swamp. This transcends politics. It is a spiritual war. You are correct, Allison. It is a spiritual war. And until you start understanding and looking into the occult and what these people believe, actually what the Aleister Crowley type individuals believe, because that's what this is. We are fighting people that they're not of Jewish faith, they're not of Christian faith. They practice the occult, right? They are evil. These are truly evil people. Until you understand that, you have no idea what is going on and how long it's been going on for. Lastly, somebody writes, the Jeffrey Epstein, Trump, Israel, CIA entanglement is a wormhole I never thought I would fall into, and now I cannot stop. Everyone needs to join the book club. It is life-changing. Yeah. Our book club, to use a term that the kids are saying today, they say it's lit. They put the fire emojis. They say, this is lit. I think that accurately describes our book club. But we don't use colloquialisms like lit. We just read books. And yeah, it's so much. And I wish I could put it on the podcast, but you have to read the books. Otherwise, if I start ranting to you about the occult and Aleister Crowley and the sexual rituals and why what's happening in Israel right now is exactly in line with what's always happened and the lead up to establishing Israel, like these people through the ages moving to different countries, hiding their identities, pretending, that they're victims or merging themselves with victims. We're going to get into that tomorrow when we talk about Elie Wiesel, Robert Maxwell's cousin, distant cousin, and I guess you could call it the Holocaust debacle that he got into when people were saying you weren't actually in the Holocaust. Yeah, you start to put pieces together and realize that the same people have been in control for a very long time, and their real capability lies in their ability to perform. It is all a performance art. But yes, we talk about this in the book club. By the way, the book club is tomorrow. So if you've not yet subscribed, head to CandaceOwens.com and subscribe. We are doing the last bit of Hollywood Babylon, which I think has been such an important book for people to just lay the groundwork for what it is that we're fighting. And then we're going to be moving on to The Assault on Truth. I think that we've sold out for like the 4th time on that book. I don't know do we have any, Skylar, on the website? If we do, we have very few copies left. Okay, maybe just a couple of Assault on Truth books left. And we will be turning to speak about that book, learning about that book, the guy who controlled the Sigmund Freud archives. Again, every time what keeps coming up is this really dark topic of pedophilia and people in power trying to hide it. And yes, unfortunately, it's all connected, but it's all going to be okay because it starts with awareness. And so more power to the people that way. Anyways, guys, we will see you tomorrow.